G'day, I'm Wil Anderson. Welcome to Gruen. This week we learned an interesting bit of trivia.
Farewell fantails, the bite-sized trivia treat to be scrapped from supermarket shelves. No.
We're all having fantails here at the moment. We've got caramel stuck to our teeth.
Oh my God. Koshi looks amazing. The news began a fantail frenzy.
It's factory was too hard to make them anymore. It was too expensive. No one likes them.
Well, throw him harder. No one likes him. Fantail fans reacted with outrage.
I'm shooketh. It's giving, why would they do that vibes.
It is giving those vibes. There were touching tributes.
As we go on, we remember all the times we had together.
Wait, are they dead or did they just finish year 12? Other fans shared fond fantail memories.
Oh, they kind of get stuck in my teeth, so I don't really like them, to be honest.
It's giving why would he say that vibes. And what kind of news network would waste time unwrapping fantails? Well, we would, back in 1967.
Well, now, what is this mysterious little object that's being so deftly unwrapped? I wonder if you recognise it. We'll be giving you a story about that in just a moment.
Oh, and people say the ABC is boring. And the ABC asks the hard questions.
One annoying thing I've noticed on the packet is you quite often only have half a biography. I mean, is this a deliberate policy on your part?
Yes, answer him, you coward! But my favourite part was this dramatic zoom out.
Fantails.
You know, they don't make news like they used to. From atop a lion. Farewell, fantails. Oh, who am I? I am on tonight's Gruen. I know this one. Please welcome Todd Sampson, Emily Taylor, Camey O'Keefe, and filling in for Russell Howcroft, it's Carolyn Miller. Sports betting has grabbed Australia by the balls. Last year, betting companies spent $300 million to make sure you saw the 900 ads they play every single day. Here's one of the biggest.
We're on here, boys. Last leg, race 7's the balance.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Wow, betting looks as fun as dying in a war. The full version features risky stunts, gamblers having a blast, and a brief look at how punting really feels. He got his ballroom blitzed. Also, for some reason, they gave the South Sydney mascot a gun. More like Ben Rabbit Smith. Oh. Emily, can a big fun ad distract from gambling's depressing reality?
I mean, absolutely, and I think they've really gone with a vibe in that one that's a bit more, you're an action hero, not an addict. And that's because the reality in any category is you don't want to play the sort of harsh realities of that industry or that category back at your audience. But what I do find sort of hilarious about the whole industry is they're the ones who have really continued to portray their target audience in their advertising like total morons. And I find that so, like even beer advertising has started to, you know, show that men are multifaceted humans, Todd, you know? I think a better reflection versus when you think about the way they still do it in this category and in most of the ads, it's really sort of presenting men as near Neanderthals, where betting is this sort of leveler and common ground. Like, me man, you man, we like different teams, but we punt, we friends?
I mean, that is a compelling argument.
The thing is, what's the alternative? Like, of course you have to go all out and make it feel like a spectacle, that it's game on, that you want to be part of it, because the alternative, if you lean into the reality, is a sad man at home on his couch, slice of Domino's in one hand and his eyes glued to his phone on the other. Like, that doesn't make for enticing or interesting TV.
The challenge is they're normalising it. I mean, they run so many ads, and ads like this, which is the entertainment sort of masks the reality, to normalise it, to make it seem like it's an integral part of sports, it's an integral part of watching it, it's an integral part of playing it, it's an integral part of athletes, and that's simply not true. And the advertising is probably the best vehicle they have at the moment to normalise it to the broad Australian market.
It's interesting, though, that this has borrowed heavily from beer advertising. And when you talk about the integral parts of sport, you'd argue that having a beer whilst watching sport is almost as integral as gambling has become with watching sport. And it taps into all of that stuff that we actually know from beer ads going, yeah, I like beer. This is something that's a part of my life. Maybe this is something that's good for me. Having said that, and look, I don't support gambling advertising in any way, shape or form, but this is a much better ad than what Ladbrokes have done previously. So the fact that it does integrate across a whole range of sports, the fact that it does play into this idea that you're in with your mates together against the evils that kind of come against you, it's entertaining to watch.
Australians haven't been gambling responsibly, so now every ad ends with new warnings and a sharp change of tone.
Get that same game multi-feeling with Sportsbet.
Chances are you're about to lose.
Oh, they should have made the choir sing it. The new warnings are so devastating, the Ned's voiceover guy now has depression.
Take it to the Ned's level. You win some, you lose more.
Oh, get the tarp. Todd, will these shit slogans do anything?
Yeah, they'll do what they're designed to do, which is slow or prevent regulation on television. So it's the notion of if you concede a little, you may get a lot. So to concede this is the argument for allowing them to happen. Now, they are better because gamble responsibly was horrible. It was just ambiguous, nebulous, like what does that mean? At least they went and did some research, and the research said, hey, you need to challenge things like the illusion of control. You need to challenge things like you're not gonna lose. And they did that. But on the scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is banning them and 0 is doing nothing, changing the slogans is about a 0.5.
And I think with that as well, the challenge is the volume of advertising, gambling advertising in our sport is so ubiquitous and so frequent that they will become like wallpaper, like gamble responsibly as well. And what we also know as a sort of parallel from the cigarette industry is that the warning labels actually really only work on a light user. So a really heavily addicted cigarette smoker will feel slightly embarrassed by the packet and the warning label. They might hide the cigarette packet, and they might feel a little bit less satisfied with each ciggy, but they don't necessarily stop smoking. So I don't think it'll work on the real problem gamblers.
You know what, though? I look at this, and I remember the first time I saw this actually on a TV ad, because I'm old school and I still watch TV, was that, and I remember hearing the word lose, and I remember thinking, holy crap, that's powerful. Like because as I said, the ones that are advertised on the TV particularly are about getting new people to come and download the app and get engaged with it. And to hear that you're more likely to lose, that to me is a very powerful statement. And I like the idea that they're actually using the word lose at the end of these, but not all 7 statements are of the same power, I would argue.
And the problem is that I'm really distracted by the bit up the top that says, you win some.
I mean, and they changed the tone for a reason, because it almost makes it easy to disregard, because they can't keep the tone in the same tone as the energized advertising message. So by having 2 different tones...
I mean, it'd be great if they did, though. Here at Ned's, bets, you win some, you lose some!
That's a good idea. And that would make it probably more effective.
Yeah.
But if they really wanted to be effective with the lines, as we all know, they would integrate it into the main message of the ad and allow us to break the action. But they're never going to do that. It's a regulatory thing that they're doing. You give a little, you get a little, tag it on in the end, and hopefully that will be the reason to not pull the ads completely. And advertising is not just providing air cover for the gambling companies. It's also providing air cover for the government. Yeah. So where they're wishy-washy about whether they should regulate this advertising or not, this gives them a place to hide. So they can say, look, this is what we've done. We've researched this, we've changed the end lines, we've done our job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have basically done the equivalent of just saying, like, if I said to you, you're an absolute dickhead, no offence. Doesn't really counteract what came beforehand, does it?
No, it doesn't. But that's what they've done.
Betting ads have always shown blokes acting like idiots. Now, betting is smart. The ads have elaborate control rooms and make taking a punt seem enlightened.
Nailing a sports bet same-game multi makes you feel like a bit of a guru.
Is that? Shh. He's multi-dating.
Legend has it, he once landed a 20-legger.
Actually, it was 22 legs. What's your secret? You shall find it within. The Sportsbet app.
Get that same-game multi feeling with Sportsbet.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Legend has it, he just got cancelled. Obviously, the multi doesn't stand for multiculturalism. Cam, will this make gamblers feel smart?
I mean, that's definitely the intention. So we know that when it comes to gambling, participation rates are much higher with men than women, particularly when it comes to the sort of skill-based betting or sports betting. So it's in the brand or betting brand's interest to play up this kind of the notion that it's a skill, that it's not dumb luck, because that way they can pander to the male ego and sort of position them as an expert, not an addict. Because it's definitely far sexier to feel that you're a guru than a problem gambler.
But I do think with the language of punting, which I don't get at all, I had to Google what a 20-legger was, and given what we term a third leg in Australian slang, I was a little concerned about what might turn up, not a punter. But I do think it's interesting. There is a language of punting, and if you speak the code and you're in the tent, it is a connector, it's a conversation starter. It's sort of like an adult secret language, like pig Latin for adults.
But don't you think even the fact that it's punting and not gambling is kind of like a shift away? Because gambling feels like something you do when you're addicted, but punting feels like an art form.
Or wagering is the other term that gets used.
Yeah, but I mean, gambling is something you do if you're a gambler, and punting is something you do if you're a punt. On the tally, punting ads are strictly regulated, so gambling apps are betting it's easier to target your phone with ads like this.
I'm a big-time punter. Big-time punter. You know where you'll find me every Saturday? You know where you'll find me? Trackside.
It's giving where do I know you from vibes.
I'm shooketh.
I am shooketh. And now they don't just target your phone, they want you to bet on the TV shows you're not actually watching, like Love Island, Dancing with the Stars, Have You Been Paying Attention, and even The Logies, where, tip, everyone is a loser. Carolyn, answer carefully, because I've got a lot of money riding on this. Will trash tellies sell sports betting?
Very possibly. So what's actually interesting about going into TV shows is sometimes this actually gets reported in mainstream media. They'll talk about the odds that are on a certain person on Love Island or whatever else. Any random thing from, you know, picking the names of royal babies to figuring out who's going to, you know, again, win reality TV shows to, you know, who's going to be the host of something next year. Like, there are the most random things you can gamble on. So it's another way of kind of legitimising gambling and getting it in the news.
I think the most concerning thing of this is TikTok, is social media. So it's how clever these companies are of getting ahead of the regulators. So they know the two biggest growth markets for gambling are women and children.
Yeah.
We now know that just under 500,000 kids under the age of 16 gamble online every day. Like, it's a massive market of especially children, online gambling. And so it's just so opportunistic of TikTok. So TikTok has now come out saying we're trialing gambling ads, which basically means they're going, wait, now there's going to be regulation. There's $300 million sitting in a pot that's going to be taken from television. We would like that pot. So we'll now trial gambling ads. And they know that they're in the Wild Wild West version, and they know that they have so much data that they're collecting all the time that they will know the team you're after, they'll know the player that you like, they'll know the code that you love, and they'll send you messages from influencers directly to you saying, you should gamble, this team's going to win this week. And to me, I mean, that's the most concerning. It's not surprising that TikTok is going to be big in gambling. It's just sad because they're going to go straight to our children in an unregulated space.
But back to that $300 million worth of pot you were talking about. Wherever you go, you will be bombarded by betting through betting billboards, betting banners, betting barriers, betting brollies, betting ads outside stadiums, betting ads inside stadiums, betting ads on the scoreboard and betting ads on the players, including the Anzac round jersey, lest we points bet. They also sponsor this.
This weather report is brought to you by Sportsbet. Make it a multi with Sportsbet. Imagine what you could be buying instead.
Perfect for when your judgment is cloudy. Australia's most hated ad is for PointsBet, which, according to whingers, makes us sound like morons and gibbering idiots. So take a look, you morons, and don't gibber like idiots while it's playing.
Come on, you know.
How about this filly in the fifth, fellas? Put a 50 on it?
You know, I'll give you a, you know. Yeah.
Is that a yes or no?
No, yeah. Grazing the wet hay, having a shot, you know. Good sort, can't complain. You know, nothing else. Good size. Where you going, how you been?
You Aussies sure are built different. Just like the PointsBet app. It's faster, easier. These horse racing offers are ridiculous. You know what they call me, mate?
What's that?
Shakadal Dundee.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
It's costing me my respect for Shakadal Dundee. Cam, when everyone's sick of you, is it better to not advertise?
So I just have to say, honestly, I am so surprised that that's Australia's most hated ad, that people are complaining about that, because I have seen far worse on the regular. And I also kind of like the fact, I actually like that spot, so maybe that's also just me, because I think, you know, from the other ads that we've seen, they tend to be all in one vein. You know, it's very kind of OTT, hyper-masculine. And, I mean, this is kind of blokey, but it's far gentler in tone and a little bit more pared back, so I'm here for that. And honestly, they won't pull the ad. They don't care that we're sick of it. You know, the betting companies want to be everywhere all the time, like relentless, so that they can get more new users to sign up.
And it is a really promiscuous category. So if you are a heavy punter, you've got more than 3 apps on your phone, and they will have researched all of those ads. So the reality is what they're looking for is an ad that either irritates or somehow kind of just beds into your brain so that you remember and you choose that app. So I think it's a cycle that's just going to keep like.
Don't you reckon that's
going.
why they've used Shaq and the what I always get their name wrong? Unemployed, but like
inspired unemployed.
Okay, yeah, it makes a bit of a difference, doesn't it?
Not really. It seems like everyone is sick of betting ads, even the players who fronted this.
When it comes to footy, you never know when a history-making moment will unfold.
So why miss a single second? Because you're too busy betting.
Don't let a bet take you away from the match. Reclaim the game. Be gamble aware.
Unfortunately, moments later, they were gunned down by this guy. Pets are the new babies, and just like babies, they're not all cute. So why not give every K9 a chance to feel like a K10? This week, we asked our agencies to convince us that pets need cosmetic surgery. Here's the first pitch.
Hi, I'm Madeline, this is Jane. I'm Sam, and we're from Campaign Edge. Dogs are man's best friend, and also women's. We love our dogs.
But that doesn't mean we should have to put up with them looking, well, dog ugly.
But not Jane.
Do I have what it takes to make you fall in love with me?
A pet's love is unconditional, but yours doesn't have to be. The Pet Cosmetic Aesthetic for positively prettier pets.
Well, you've convinced me. Here's the second pitch.
We identified that one of the core drivers of seeking cosmetic surgery
is solving insecurities. So we decided to explore this idea, along with its unexpected benefits for both pet and owner.
Go! Get the car keys! Oi, didn't tell me there'd be a dog. Beautiful little dog. Look at you. Oh! Look at you. What a scratchable belly.
Wow, you've convinced me. Let's see what the panel thinks. Todd, which did you prefer?
I thought the first one was super charming, but the second one just led me down a path and did a twist at the end, which I really like, so I'm going with 2.
Emily, what about you?
I thought they were both great, and I actually do think most dogs are really ugly, so I'm actually going to go with number 1. I know I'm very hated for
Okay, yeah. I was going to say your vote doesn't count. So, Cam, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm stealing your response. I think I love them both, but it was the twist in number 2 that kind of hooked me in.
Caroline?
I'm sorry to say this, but number 2, if we hadn't been told this is about cosmetic surgery for pets, you would never know. Like, the dog was just cute and it was getting a belly rub and then there was some pet thing at the end. So I actually argue it doesn't work. My vote is for number 1.
OK, that means we've got a tie, so luckily we've got a trophy that splits in half. So congratulations, Campaign Edge and 303 Mullenlow Perth. We will fetch you this trophy and your slippers. If you're squinting to see your telly right now, you already know that Aussie eyesight is worse than ever. 2/3 of Australians need glasses and one brand is dominating the $4 billion market. For over 20 years, Specsavers have framed their ads with a collection of calamities.
Oh. Oh.
Should have gone to Specsavers.
You know, that's how they make smashed avocado. But their latest campaign relies on Specs appeal.
Oh, we must have met about 15 years back.
He just has this way of looking into my eyes, like...
Our kids even go to the same school.
Oh, did I tell you? He runs his own business. I'm definitely going to see him again.
Excellent. See you in 12 months, Emma?
Okay, great.
Because our stores are run by local optometrists, they put your care first, which can make them rather popular.
Apparently he's seeing half the town.
OK, firstly, who are you talking to? And secondly, I don't give a shit. My dentist gave me a root canal. So, Carolyn, will sex sell specs well by the spec shore?
Wow. I would argue this isn't a sexy ad in any way, shape or form, and actually it's a pretty banal ad. I think there's a little level of engagement when you kind of come through and see it for the first time, but beyond that, it's not funny enough, it's not interesting enough, and losing the should have gone to Specsavers was a massive mistake.
I personally find banal sexy because it's got anal in it.
And a bee.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, because the could have gone to Specsavers has endless possibilities. Like, it continually grows with the brand. It was a really good tongue-in-cheek sense of humour and really ownable by it. Like, no other glasses company could actually do those sorts of things. You'd know that was for Specsavers immediately, so...
The problem, right? It's a tough act to follow because should have gone to Specsavers is like the gold standard, this enduring platform that just has legs. You can keep finding really kind of, like, not implausible, but really relatable moments that many of us could recognise and actually have a giggle about. So I feel like regardless of where they move to, it was always going to be tough to execute as well as that platform.
Which begs the question, why change?
Yeah, and I think the reason they're changing is this is a really good example of a global business strategy. So this exact campaign is rolled out in multiple markets around the world. So you could imagine in their research, they've got, you know, we're constantly researching the brand to see what's wrong, what they could fix, what's good, bad. And bad is being seen as a money-grabbing multinational business. It's a British company in local markets. So from above, they said, OK, we need a local campaign. We need you to do something that grounds us. It's not owned, it's run by locals. And we need you to ground us in every individual market.
Before Specsavers, most Australians solved their eye problems by holding books at arm's length like real men. The rest chose OPSM, which opened its first prescription eyeglass store in 1932 to make sure nobody missed a moment of the Great Depression. Now, in a depression of its own, OPSM didn't even celebrate its 90th birthday. In fact, they haven't run a tally ad since this one.
G'day, mate. Just here to pick up my glasses.
Mr. Hemsworth, these must be yours. Can I ask what they're all for?
Well, family time.
King me.
Outdoor time. Cooking. Help! Help! Little me time.
Oh, what a guy.
Generally staying humble.
Wow, you do a lot of things.
Oh, almost forgot.
Wrong Hemsworth. Should have got a Specsavers. Emily, is OPSM doomed to be the Liam Hemsworth of glasses?
Yeah, I think so. Probably familiar, but maybe not your first choice. And it does really feel sad for this brand. Like, OPSM used to be such a strong brand, but I think they've got kind of caught in no man's land. So they're not the cheap end of the market. They don't have all the fancy, exclusive, stylish. They're not doing sort of expertise like Specsavers now, and they're sort of stuck in this middle bit. And then in addition, that ad just feels like it's selling the concept of glasses. And if you're potentially in the market for glasses, I think you understand that you can get a range of glasses and that you can wear them at different times of the day.
I mean, a couple of things jumped out in that ad. First was when we use celebrities, and I actually think he's not a bad get for them. I mean, they would have paid a lot of money for him. He's not a bad get. But when you use celebrities, you worry about them vampiring everything, and all you remember is Liam. So in order to get around that, if you see the beginning and the end of the ad, they have their logo everywhere. It's on all across the wall. It's on all the screens. It's everywhere. So they're trying to say, remember, don't just remember him, remember this. And the other thing, that the humble brag no longer works. So the humble brag makes you dislike people now. So because used in advertising, it's so obvious that they say your strategy is showing. And in this case, I don't think that kind of worked at all for him. Like, I think executionally, they could have done something better with him.
But you've got to remember that OPSM is actually owned by Luxottica, who also own Sunglass Hut, who are one of the best vertically integrated businesses. So they make and own Ray-Ban, a whole load of other glasses brands underneath there. They manufacture all of the luxury brand designer frames, and their markup is anywhere up to 1,000% from that cheap piece of plastic that you're paying $600 for. So, you know, it is absolutely astonishing to me that they've kind of looked at this as being the best that they could do to look after local operators, because if it is a locally owned business, that is actually important to a lot of people. And actually having that more front and centre would probably be more interesting than having Liam Hemsworth.
Truly, though, I didn't even know that OPSM still existed. Which is telling, because, you know, I feel like if I had Russell here, he'd be saying, yeah, see, when you don't advertise, people don't know you exist. And I think
mind you, Russell would also be really pissed off that we slagged a lot of those gambling ads.
Yeah.
If he was here.
Why do you think we're doing that segment when he's not here?
Yes, I guess it is an argument to say. It does work in terms of, if you look at Specsavers, they have been a really dominant brand in market, advertising with a consistent platform for over 20 years, and it's worked.
I tried to go to OPSM for my first pair of glasses, but I couldn't see the sign properly, and I went to OPSM, which is a very, very different shop. Still worth a visit, I got to be honest. And then I thought I'd better go down to Specsavers. I went into Sex Scrapers, which I can't even explain to you what that one was. But anyway, I met these two lovely guys, Bailey and Nelson. Had a good time. OPSM isn't the only brand using the second best sibling.
Who's that behind those foster grants?
Not Kylie. That ad featured a familiar logo, and now Chemist Warehouse is launching their own discount sister, Optometrist Warehouse, which is currently the Luke Hemsworth of glasses. Todd, can they do to the optometrist what they did to the chemist?
Yes, they can, and yes, they will. Over 40% of Australian adults now use Chemist Warehouse. And what they do incredibly well is their branding. I mean, first, it's perceived as cheap using the warehouse imagery or the semiotics of a warehouse. Bunnings warehouse it does it masterfully as well. So they use all that kind of, it could be cheaper, it's probably cheaper, but you don't really know. So it's all the iconography of bargain, which we love. And then they are cheaper in most cases because of their floor space. And this is where they'll really get them. If they have big floor space and they're offering more things, they'll be able to keep the costs low and they'll be able to pass on a lot of savings to the customers. So they will actually have cheaper alternatives than the optometrists currently have. And the optometry business is a high margin business. So that's why they're looking at it, because they know they can scrape a lot of that margin.
And, you know, I mean, at the moment, it's really smart move, and obviously we can all feel it in all the ads and all that everything, you know, all the brands are doing to play in the value space. So cost of living crisis, you know, we've just done a big piece of research and pretty much everyone across the board is trading down. So in that, from that aspect, you would, you know, we'll see people kind of come into this category who might have been buying $500 glasses before, quite happily doing that. And in fact, we did see in that research that 1 in 5 people have already cancelled their private health insurance. So if you think about where you would often go and particularly spend a little bit more on a pair of glasses, it will be in the free money that's in your private health insurance, even though you've paid for it. And then you might find yourself at, you know, optometrist warehouse.
But it also speaks to fast fashion. So, I mean, glasses, particularly if you wear glasses all the time, are a very defining fashion statement for your face. And trends change very quickly, and this sort of brand will tap in very well into this idea that you only have to wear them for 6 months and it doesn't matter if you break them or fashions change and you want to change them. But what I think is really sad about this, and in audiology as well, because this is certainly happening with the audiology industry, is this idea that local-owned businesses and small operators are going to be a thing of the past. And, I mean, it's not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but they just can't compete on the buying power. They can't compete on the kind of in-and-out transaction that these guys can do. But also, I think, you know, for people who do still want really personalised service and all the rest of it, having a local provider is still really important.
My fundamental flaw for why this model may not get up is how do they make the jingle work? Because, you know, it's like... Chemist warehouse, optometrist warehouse. Like, does that work?
But do you just do the Bunnings warehouse thing?
Oh my God.
And that's why it will work.
Any warehouse. Gambling warehouse. Fantails warehouse. They're back. That's all you need is a jingle. Gruen warehouse. It's actually quite fun, isn't it? We thought Specsavers had covered every myopic mishap imaginable. But we couldn't believe our eyes when we saw this band ad out of Germany. Oh, what a feeling. That's all we have time for tonight. Please thank our panel, Carolyn Miller, Camey O'Keefe, Emily Taylor and Todd Sampson. We'll leave you tonight with our own vision of how glasses ads should look. We'll see you next week.
Oh, we must have met about 15 years back.
He just has this way of looking into my eyes, like...
I'm definitely going to see him again.
Excellent. See you in 12 months, Emma?
Hey, what's going on here? Are you sleeping with your patients? I came in here to get my eyes tested, but now I think you need to get yourself tested. Here, try and read this chart. Can you make that out? I'll help you. It says, don't screw your patients. I shouldn't have gone to Specsavers.
Chances are you're about to lose.